Hey there, I'm Ryan.
I'm Will. I got it right!
I'm dying.
And we're back to share our reactions on a brand new series of on a brand new series of ITV's brand new show, The Fortune Hotel. This is episode 30 of It's Just a Game.
Woo!
Hello and welcome to episode 30 of It's Just a Game, the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. Every week we look at the best strategies, the funniest moments, and the weirdest formats of your favourite reality TV shows. And this week we are here to discuss week 1, episodes 1 to 4 on ITV's brand new series, The Fortune Hotel. My name is Ryan, and I only have one rule, and the rule is no rule. Joining me every week is the man who broke the code, Ivan. Hello, Ivan.
Hello. Do you not see my suitcase?
Let's see your suitcase.
Look, here it is. Bam. It's assembled pork cuts.
I'm not sure I believe you. I'm thinking I might swap.
Take it.
And also joining us is our very own Europapa, Wilf. Hello, Wilf.
Hello. Oh, Europapa. I'm so sad that I didn't even get judged.
No, for me, it's a compliment.
Do you know what would cheer me up?
Sorry.
That was going to cheer me up. Thank you. I feel way better now. That's great.
Well, there we go. Now, as always, we're entering a spoiler zone. If you have not seen episodes 1 to 4 of The Fortune Hotel, go away. Come back when you're done. It's on ITVX. If you have seen them, stay right there. And because we're the show where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. Ivan, what's been going on, Ivan?
Thank you. I didn't write anything down, so here we go. 12 or maybe less than 12 couples arrive on an island that's lovely. It's 8 couples, by the way. There may be... It may be a Caribbean island. They speak French there, so maybe...
It's in Granada.
Great, it's in...
I think.
Granada? That rhymes with Canada? No, it's Granada. That rhymes with Canada. Okay, so we've got Johnny and Sue. We've got Ashley and Wilfred. We've got William and Smoonthrandt. They're all memorable names and memorable characters, and here they all are.
It's just naming Pokemons now.
Yes, Psyduck and Golduck arrive as one of the couples in this one, and they all move into a room in a hotel, and guess what? There's a briefcase. There's a briefcase inside each room, and inside the briefcase...
Yeah, that's called holidays. That's true for every hotel room.
Will you let me finish? Either loads of money, or loads of paper, which I think is more fun, or a small card. Okay, so not each week, someone randomly picks 250k. And then what happens is each week they just get opportunities to swap the suitcases until at the end someone's going to have 250k. But if your suitcase contains a card that says, piss off, then you have to do that. And that's the game. It's a lovely social deduction game based on the board game we all know and love, Carrot in a Box. And it's good. It's great. So far, someone went home, then someone went home, then someone went home, and then, in a shocking twist...
Someone might be going home. We haven't seen them go home yet.
And that's where we are now.
Ivan! I've binge-watched it, right? And I still don't remember a name.
Because it happens so fast, and there's a lot of people in there.
We'll come to the characters. I think the casting's good.
Brilliant.
That's not the point here. It's just so quick.
The casting's good because the one bad casting decision went out in the first episode, but we'll get back to that. Also, let me clarify. You know how I say with a lot of confidence there were 8 players? There's actually 10.
That's right. Exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many there are.
Anyway, that was Ivan's summary. Now it's a new format, and so I've got to ask you. I know Wilf has been bursting to tell us about this, so I'm going to ask Ivan first.
Thank you.
What are your impressions on this new format?
I think this format is slick. I really like the fact that all you've got is a pretty good social deduction game, and every single time something happened, I was like, no, this isn't going to work. So, for example, as soon as some people know where the money is, you can 100% of the time follow the money round. Yeah. And basically it stops being a social deduction game. So at the end of episode 1, I was going, oh no, they fumbled it. I know. And then beginning of episode 2, they introduced the room service challenges. And immediately that problem has been resolved. So format wise, absolutely brilliant. I really love it. Can't wait to see where they go with it. It's great. Now, here's where I get to the thing I don't like. the editing.
Yeah.
They've decided, having filmed this perfectly functional, perfectly viable reality show, it's not enough like the Traitors. So they've got Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And it's just like, do you know, it's so frustrating because there's this lovely audio cue that happens quite often, which is this really cool little creepy steel pan melody.
Yeah.
If they built the entire show around that one melody, this show would be 8 to 10 out of 10, depending on the ending.
It's such a good universe to be built.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because they've gone for Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's just like... Wilf, in fact, sorry, I don't know. Ryan, what do you think about the show?
No!
Okay, I mean, I know Wilf is bursting to say this, but I will just very briefly say I agree with you, Ivan. I was a bit scared at first because the swaps meant that whoever gets a fortune on the first day can just ride their way to the final mostly. They know where the money is, they're just going to follow the money. The secret swaps, the look into the suitcase, all of that introduces a lot more social deduction to the game, and so they haven't fumbled it. I think they should have introduced this in the first episode, because if we weren't doing this podcast, I might have almost switched off at the end of the first episode thinking, oh, it doesn't matter. People are just going to follow the money. I agree with you, though, on the editing. The show had so much scope to have its own identity, a sort of murder hotel in the Caribbean. That's such a great universe. And instead, they did that at times, and then at times they went for a more Traitors vibe, and it gets a little bit confusing. So, there's some imperfections there, but that's something that can be fixed. And I really like this format, and I think it's got a good few years in it.
Great.
Wilf.
Next question, Ryan.
My time. So I honestly, I'll be honest. I seen it advertised on TikTok, obviously, and the comments were traitors, poor man's traitors, wish traitors, all this sort of stuff, right? And I actually really like the format. And the fact is that in the Traitors, the missions don't really impact the game as much as what this does.
Yes.
And for me, it was watching something where I was like, okay, this is pretty straightforward. And like you guys said, we know what's happening here. And the challenges actually make sense for the game to change, where
they make a huge difference.
Yeah, it actually makes sense. And I think that the format's really good. I really enjoyed it up until the music just destroyed. It was like when we was watching Survivor, right?
Survivor, yeah. Everyone's trying to do Traitors music.
Yeah, and it just didn't work for me, like, to be honest. I thought it's brilliant. The edit's brilliant. The edit's actually brilliant. I feel like the music part of that edit, the soundtrack and stuff, lets it down quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm actually entertained, where I thought I was going to be watching poor man's Traitors, but I've been pleasantly surprised, actually.
I think the edit is good. If we get too many... So when I said the thing that lets it down is the edit, I kind of meant like the presentation of what is a good thing. But if we get too many slow motion walks and too many cocktails in hand, then it again will start to feel very Traitors. So I agree with you, the edit is on the whole pretty good. But case in point, I've been going back and watching US Survivor. My idea is I'm going to binge season 1 to 46, which is where we currently are. And I'm already on season...
Are you unemployed, Ivan?
No.
This is what you're telling
I'm
us.
just watching it when I cook. But the point here is, what Survivor US does so well is it's fully immersive. So all the music feels like the place where they are. Now, granted, the tasks, the challenges, in the most recent few series of America are kind of very generic, nothing to do with Fiji. But as the show toured around the world in different places, they tried, at least in the series I've seen so far, they really tried to make the whole thing feel thematic. So, and they've given us the vibe here is not just Caribbean, but tourism. But if you want to do tourism, Caribbean, great, just stick with it. Just stick with it.
It's just a sort of Caribbean, Murder in the Caribbean vibes. I mean, there's been plenty of TV shows like that. They've managed to create a universe, and you just kind of go and inspire yourself from that.
But the point is that if I hear a slowed down cover, Incy Wincy Spider, I think of the Traitors. So what's happening is we're watching The Fortune Hotel, and then this person starts singing Three Blind Mice, and we think of the Traitors. That's what's happening. happening? It's evoking the Traitors. They've lost because...
Which is a shame, because that is not, like, the show we're watching is actually not the Traitors. And the show is great if you don't need to start comparing to the Traitors. There's actually no need. Like, a lot of people have called it ITV's response to the Traitors, but it doesn't have to be. It's its own thing, because it's actually its own format. It's quite different from the Traitors, other than being a social deduction game. And so, there's no need to actually compare the two.
I think the issue here is there's so little money in linear TV right now, they can't risk making a flop. So they've got this beat works, they're going to stick with it. And I understand it. They knew going into it was going to be accused of being derivative. The question is, does it work? And I think it does. I think if we can see past this music thing, I think it's a really, really compelling show with some really human characters. And I do think they've done the right thing here. You know, this feels like a Race Across the World cast. This maybe feels like a Traitors cast. It doesn't feel like a Love Island cast or a Big Brother cast.
It deserves better. I don't like the whole... We compare it to Traitors. We compare any social deduction game that's on TV at the moment, we compare to the Traitors, which just let them do their shit. Like,
isn't it weird that this is what's happened? Like, we were chatting before the Traitors came out, after we'd recorded it, being like, oh, I hope it's good. And it not only was it good, it was successful after the mid-series and then after the series, and now it has redefined reality TV in the UK. Isn't that mad? That's where we are.
I know.
It's crazy.
Honestly, the power of the Traitors. Now, look, we've talked about the format. The other new thing about this ITV's Traitors is the host, Stephen. Bit of an acquired taste, I guess. I mean, he does kind of... I wasn't convinced at first, but he does play the role of just like this actor on holiday quite well. I don't know. I'm slowly getting into it. Like, it's just in the first few episodes, he was trying to be a bit more of a Claudia. I don't think it worked, and it feels like he switched his tone towards the last few episodes, and it works now. How do you feel about it, Ivan?
Well, okay, so first of all, I'm a bit of a Stephen Mangan fan because I love Green Wing. Green Wing is one of my favourite sitcoms of all time, and he was amazing in it as Guy's secretary.
I don't know who he is.
Well, all right. Well, maybe the listeners will. But he is at his best when he's doing the funny skits, when he's introducing the room service challenges, where he's literally hilarious. And, like, he doesn't channel that same energy when he's presenting challenges and running the thing, because I think you can't have that level of humour the whole way through. Also, because it's scripted, and it's not scripted when he's just chatting to them. But I do think he's personable. I do think he's very human. I think he's nice. I don't know if he's like... I don't think he stands out. I think he blends into the show quite well. But he's kind of cute. He's very human. I just don't love him. But he's funny when it's those little pre-recorded bits.
I think is it Joel? Joel from Survivor. I think he would have been brilliant for this.
Maybe Joel Dommett would have been better, because then he would have waded through the sea as they were doing their boat challenge, being like, "This guy's got a ding!"
Probably shitless.
Neck deep in the sand as they're digging away for numbers. Be like, "I'm down here too. He's got a 4."
So anyway, that's the format. Clearly, we are convinced, and we're going to be back next week. Now, let's move on to the casting. Obviously, the casting is always the big scary thing with ITV shows, because sometimes they go a little bit too far into the ITV2. And we had one ITV2 pair, I think, in the series. I forgot their name because they went out really early.
Louis and Chloe.
There you go. Well, they went out really early, and I think that actually is really good for the show and for the format, because now we just have sort of like normal, ordinary Brits that we're getting to know. So kind of like the Traitors, but maybe the Traitors had a bit more range and personalities. We don't have the same range, but we still have just like nice, jolly, normal people that you just want to, like, you chat to them in the pub in the smoking area. And I think that's that works. Like, so I like the cast.
I think the casting is, apart from the ITVB couple, that I call it ITVB, what they're trying to do is, which is actually quite nice, is to watch reality shows where people are quite unique and normal. So I think the casting, in my opinion, has been quite good.
Yeah, I noticed, by the way, that Louis was also on, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Josh Must Win, the Channel 4 thing, which was really funny, incredibly low budget, but really likeable. And if you haven't watched it, and those of you listening at home, and enjoy funny reality TV formats, Josh Must Win is great. It doesn't entirely stick the landing, but it's really funny. And Louis is in that he's quite predominant in that show, actually, and gives off very similar vibes to this, which is to say reality TV vibes, which I think we've moved past now, and I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
I feel like anybody that's been on a TV show that goes on a TV show, I feel like they have a slight advantage in terms of understanding how to be like people know how to be on camera. They know how to just navigate stuff. So I'm glad they're gone.
It wasn't much of an advantage for Louis.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously in Josh Mashwin, he was Bailey, the sort of like the butt of the joke on Josh Must Win.
No spoilers.
It's hard to say. Josh Mashwin.
Josh Must Win.
Josh Must Win.
Josh Must Wash.
They could have picked a better name, like Alan.
Alan must. Well, but they then had to find somebody as likable as Josh called Alan, and I can only think of one. And you're fired. I hate him so much.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was Alan Must Win. It was just Alan Sugar and a bunch of reality TV hopefuls.
Now, look, let's ask about the standard question I ask every time we delve into a new series on this show. And I'm going to ask you about your favourite and least favourite players. And that's been quite a divisive question because a lot of the pairs are just quite different, which is what I've loved about this. But let's start with your favourite player, Ivan.
I think probably the alliance between Joanne and Will and Adam and Michael has been quite impressive. I know it has just gone wrong, but it's quite impressive, and I do like it. And I think I was literally texting a friend as I was watching it, being like, the first team to make a meaningful alliance and know what to do with that alliance are going to go really far. And so for that reason, these two are nice. They seem quite normal. They're quite likable. They're fun to watch. Joanne and Will have some quite funny tiffs. One where she just blocks her ears and doesn't listen to his criticism. And it's like, oh my God, that's so unhealthy. You need to communicate better as a family. But apart from that, I think I like those guys. Wilf, what about you, mate?
To be honest, I really like Will, and my name's Will. I feel like that Will, they understand the game a bit more than a lot of the other game players, and I feel like that they understand the game a bit earlier than other people, which is very, very crucial to what they're doing. So I really like Will. I really like Will.
I'm going to disagree with you guys in that case because, I mean, Joanne and Will are lovely, but obviously they've played a better game. They have started with a massive structural advantage. They know from day one where the money is, and they can sort of keep track of it. I don't think that in itself shows that they're particularly good players. Especially, I think when we'll see whether they're good players is next week, when we see if the entire alliance and their gameplay falls apart, when finally somebody else knows what the money is that's not in their alliance.
The other people who've been playing quite hard and therefore are definitely worth mention here are Claire and Daniel, that married couple who are both quite posh. And I mean, obviously, they're now going home at the end of episode 4, aren't they? So, that's going to stand against them. They were too good in challenges. They stood out, and in the game, there is basically always this tool where if you go into Daisy Luck Bar with a good enough vote order and the early exit card, then someone like Claire and Daniel is just going to go home. So the strategy they're doing is too visible.
Yeah.
And a great example of this was when Claire had already seeded the idea that Cherish and Jae might swap cards with them. And actually they'd done a really good job of going, oh yeah, you don't want our card. And they were going to grab it. And then they went into the bar, and then whatever they were was like, oh, nobody wants ours. It's the card. And it kind of changed things. It was a bit too big. They were playing well, but they were playing a bit too big. And it's come back to them quite fast.
And you know what? That ties into both my favourite and least favourite player. My favourite one are actually at the end of episode 4, Jae and Cherish. Okay, admittedly, they were very quiet. We didn't see much of them for the first 3 episodes. But that gameplay in the final episode, I liked it. You know, going for that swap with Claire and Daniel, that was bold. Getting rid of enemy number 1, of somebody like a really strong opponent. That was something they had to do because Claire and Daniel kept winning challenges, and it pays off. And I think that sets us for really nice gameplay the next few episodes. So I really like Jae and Cherish.
Yeah, I'm glad they're becoming central to the game. I think that'll be really interesting seeing how they cope with it. And they seem to be quite good at bluffing as well, so that's quite interesting.
That'd be good. And they're not afraid to just play the game. They're like there can be feelings in there, and I love that. Now, the ones I didn't like because of that is I think Claire and Daniel, they were just too good for entertainment. They were a little bit, you know, he's got this sort of like misplaced confidence that every lawyer has. And it was just... look, I'm glad we see the downfall, and the downfall is sensational TV at the end of episode 4. But I just thought the game is too imbalanced. They need to go.
Ryan, do you have misplaced confidence?
Obviously, I'm a lawyer.
Great, perfect. My least favourite are Jen and Susan. They're sometimes just quite over serious, and there's a task when they're doing the boats when one of them just has a really, like, she's just sad about losing and angry about losing and doesn't want to get on the boat.
Yeah.
And just speaks to the other one quite aggressively. And I just think, like, you know what? I get it. hot-headed. It's a big task. You're on TV, a lot of money riding on it. But you've got to see the humour in things, and I'm not seeing enough of that from them to really justify their place on the show.
To be fair, a lot of these pairs have got slightly toxic relationships at times. A lot of them.
I wonder if that's what it's about, really. I wonder if they're going to break the couples up at some point. Sorry, right, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Wilf, least favourite player?
I don't like to say I have a least favourite player. I'm playing the political card, but I feel like...
Having said that...
I believe in something called a halo effect, which is being able to make friends really quickly with people, and people will love you because you are you. And is it Jen?
Yeah.
I feel like she could be ruffling a few feathers.
No, that's fair. The one thing I'm scared of, though, I have a vague suspicion Joanne and will potentially win. For two reasons. One is the edit. Two is in the press pack. They're the only pair who have 2 pages.
Oh my God, I did notice that, and I wondered why. That's so fascinating.
And I've got a slight suspicion. And speaking of that couple, can I just ask, like, the whole part where why is everyone angry at Abby? I mean, admittedly, Abby is a little bit of a loose cannon. But also, like, she didn't say anything wrong. She just said, oh, at least now I know where the money is, and it's in your suitcase. And Joanne acted like she just called her, like, her mom a dog.
Her mentality.
Yeah,
against Abby.
Yeah, it didn't feel good. And the whole thing with them was funny as well. I just think they got off on the wrong foot, maybe, and they felt a bit attacked. And there were times when they were like, "Oh, you speak, no, I'll speak. Oh, I'll say this," and it just didn't. It felt a bit tense.
Yeah. Now, I will say I stopped feeling sorry when I read the press back in an interview when they were asked if they could invite 3 celebrities to the Fortune Hotel, who would they be? And one of them was Piers Morgan. And at that point, I stopped feeling sorry.
Oh,
brother.
All right, yeah, done with that.
What's that, brother? Anyway, that's the casting. But so I'm excited to, like, they're good bunches. They'll be nice, and it'll be nice to start seeing more personalities sort of come to the forefront as fewer and fewer pairs remain. Now, the other big part of this is, look, we're a strategy podcast, and this is a game of strategy, and there's a few strategies that appear early on. Now, it's kind of like the Traitors, where really there's a bit of like headless chickens at the beginning. Nobody really knows what the format is. Nobody really knows how to approach it. People make sort of like avoidable mistakes, which are easy to comment on if you're in the comfort of your couch, but, harder to think about if you're at home. So it's hard to talk about strategy that much early on, but there are a few bits that come forward. So I guess first question is generally in terms of strategies, like how do you approach this game? General strategies, like how do you survive at the Fortune Hotel?
Okay. So my overall strategy with this game is that more data is good, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to try and find a way to get or to see as many cases as possible. And that might mean trading information with people.
Yeah.
That might mean naming all the boxes in your head so you can track where they go. But if you make it your thing that you always swap your briefcase in the bar, then you've already set the groundwork that's what you do. So when it comes to your turn, if you've got the card, you swap it anyway. Even if you're low down in the thing, people go, oh, that's what they always do. So that's my first thing to say, is that as long as it seems like something you'd normally do, it's not so suspicious. The fact that on the first bar, almost nobody swapped their case is deeply, deeply wrong, because then when they do swap their case, it's either about the 250k or it's about the card. So I think that's the first thing, is just like make sure that everyone knows you're the sort of person who hands on the case.
You got to start aggressive, yeah. Wilf, how do you approach this game?
How do I approach the game, mate? That's a hard question, but have you ever gone to a bar with a lot of friends, right?
No, I don't have friends.
You buy the first pint, right? And then after that pint, you're free for the whole night. Like that's how I see it. So be that person that swaps it at the beginning, and people will say, oh, this is what they do. Yeah, that's what I do. I'd always swap. Even if I had it, I'd swap at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I agree with you both that you need to be aggressive early on, because information is power in this game. But ultimately, at the beginning, it's also a massive game of luck. Perhaps even much more so than the Traitors. And so it's hard to strategize at the beginning. I think like the only good strategy is to be flexible in your strategy, and you just deal with every day as they come.
In episode 1, if no one knows your strategy, no one knows how you lie, no one has your tell yet, if you pick out the card, open the case, and it's the card inside, then what you've got to do, clearly, is barely conceal the fact that you've got the 250k. Like, make it seem like you're, obviously not like, oh, I'm so excited not to tell you what's in it. But
give them a fake tell.
Yeah, exactly. Day one. So like when someone asks you, be like, I'm not willing to say, or something, just to maybe make them think. And if going into the first bar, they think you've got the money, then people are going to want to swap out your case, which is great.
And if you're the person to say, I'm not willing to say, so people will be like, oh, they didn't want to say, and yeah.
Be the first one to say, I don't know, when they ask who's got the card. That's another one, right? Who's got the card? It could be anyone, right? If you say that really quickly, maybe people start to think it's you.
You got to sow seeds of suspicion.
Wait, it's like when you go, there could be another traitor.
Or it's like when you go, maybe there are no traitors, and then everyone's suspicious of you.
Exactly.
Big up Amanda. And more specifically on strategy, the one thing I'm sort of not sure how you deal with that is, how do you get rid of that early checkout card? We've seen Abby and Tracy's strategy sort of go down in flames and not really work out, because as soon as they try to swap out that card, everyone was suspicious. If you wake up in the morning, you get that early checkout card, you pack your bags, but then what do?
Keep it. You keep it. For as long as you can, you keep that card. Because obviously, as long as you have a good enough place in the bar, you're choosing who goes home.
Well, actually, as long as you're not last.
Yeah. You've got a very, very good chance of being able to send someone home. The higher you come in the task, the better the chance you've got of choosing who goes home. But yeah, just keep it. Don't try and swap it out. Don't try and tell anyone. Just keep it.
The whole point of the game is when you feel you're in power, is actually when you're not. So when you are not in power, so when you've got a certain suitcase that you don't want, you have more power than what you think.
Totally.
Yeah, because you can send somebody home.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no weaknesses.
And then take that back a step. The fortune holder who's choosing who has the card is actually choosing who chooses who goes home. So if you go, I'm going to give the card to my rival, guess what's going to happen this time tomorrow? They're going to pass the suitcase to you and it's their turn. So yeah, you're exactly right. It really is very much like every time you think you have the power, you don't. Every time you don't have the power, you do. You're a genius, Wilf.
Yeah.
No, look, the other thing that's peculiar about this game that really plays into strategy is how important challenges are. We've mentioned that. How do we feel about the challenges? I've really, again, enjoyed the universe they've created, just sort of like Summer Holiday in the Caribbean. I mean, they've been good fun. And the fact there's a stake in them.
What I like about this game is there's already a prize pot there. There's already something there.
Yeah.
So it's not like, let's build this, and they have more of an impact in everything.
I think they're pretty standard reality fare, race around the bay collecting letters for an anagram, or race to the shore and then pick up a spade and do some digging. And for that, I think they're great. And I think it's really good that they're so crucial for the episode, because it really makes you want to watch them. However, I think that it would be even better if within the challenges there were elements of ways which you could hold back your opponents. So okay, I choose in this challenge, rather than to get first myself, to get Donald and Denise to guarantee their sixth.
Yeah.
I think if they could introduce mole-like elements into it, where not only does your outcome contribute to the bar scene later, but you can also affect other people as well. That would be really, really nice.
See, that's one of the two things I add. And the other thing I would add is just a little bit of information, a sprinkle of information. We've said information is power in this game. Knowing where the money is great. Some small hints, some small bits that would just add layers to the social game would be really, really good fun.
Like what?
Information about who's holding the suitcase, something really like, the fortune holders have 4 cats and 2 dogs, and then which will then put everyone else on edge, because they'd have to be really careful what personal information they reveal, because it might actually come back to a hint. Just like there's ways, I think, to just make this a bit more of an information battle as well.
Yeah, because they have every single day the possibility to obfuscate that, I think that's possible. Otherwise, you have the same problem that Traitors has, which is we can't give you any information, because then you might actually solve it, and we don't want you to solve it because it's only day 3. So actually, because the holder of the fortune changes every day, it's kind of more possible for that to be the case. Yeah.
I feel like you're doing what the Traitors should do in terms of their missions. I think these missions are really good.
It's time, my friends, for my reoccurring segment. Which is let's draft. Come on. Let's draft our winner. Oh. We've got the remaining characters. Let me tell you who they are as I click through the press release. So we've got 6 couples left. Assuming, of course, what we already know, which is that the ones today go home. So we've got Jae and Cherish. We've got Jen and Sue. We've got Scott and Tommy. we've got Sam and Aisha, we've got Joanne and Will, and we've got Adam and Michael. Who won last time? It was you, Will, wasn't it?
On guessing our winners for the Traitors, I think it might be, because Will went for Harry.
And I came second. So Ryan, you pick first. Who do you want?
I am going to go for the less obvious option. I'm going to go for Adam and Michael because I feel like, they've got this good strategy going with John and Will that could take them far, but equally I think they're experienced enough in the game that they appreciate at one point they're going to have to backstab each other, and I reckon they're probably going to fire the first shots. I'm
going to go for the safe pick then and pick Joanne and Will. I think that they are being shown as the protagonists of this series, which means they either come first or second, maybe second. Maybe I'm totally wrong. They're just good quality. All right, Wilf, that means it's your pick now.
We don't know how the game ends. I don't know how the game ends. I don't know if you do, but if I've missed that. But I think it's going to be Jen. Jen, I'm going on edit. I think Jen.
Fair enough.
Ryan, your second pick, please.
Oh, we get 2 picks. There's not enough people for that, is there?
There's 6. What's 6 divided by 2, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going Jae and Cherish for their bold move. I don't think they're going to win, but I like their game, so...
All right, I'm going... Yeah, I think that's a good pick. There's a value pick for 4th, actually. I'm going to go Scott and Tommy because we haven't seen much of them, which may mean they're keeping their powder dry. With the Scott and Tommy bandwagon, keep the powder dry, and then bam! Whoa! Surprise! That means it's a surprise, which means, Wilf, your last pick is Sam and Aisha.
So Aisha, and her last name's Asanovic, so I used to actually go to school with her.
Really? Do you want to give her an NHS number on the show as well while you're here?
Looks like she might be deaf, which is quite cool. So representation there.
That was completely lies.
Okay.
There you go. I'm just going to leave this moment of silence. And on that note, we'll be back next week. We'll dive deeper into the strategies of this game. And we'll be debriefing episodes 5 to 8, which includes the grand finale of this great show. Very much looking forward to seeing that, seeing the strategies that develop and who eventually takes the 250k or whatever's left of it, to be fair, since they're now taking down 10k every episode. My name is @help. I'm holding stevensmisfortune.co.uk, and you can follow me on Instagram.
My name's Will, and I wasn't allowed to pick Will.
I'm Ivan, and you can find me at help. I'm being eaten by a huge but kind dog.
And from all of us here, it's see you next week, and goodbye.
Bye.